Something really great happens as we get older. We become more confident. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to or welcome back to another video. My name is Dani, and on this channel, we talk about bettering ourselves from the inside out. So if bettering yourself is something you're into, then hit the subscribe button so you never miss a video with me. I am 36 years old and I have never been more confident, more secure, more sure of myself ever in my life than I do now, being in my 30s. And I feel like it's such a privilege to get to this position in life, and I just am so excited because I know as time goes on, I'm going to refine more of my details in life and the things I want, my boundaries, and my confidence is just going to get even better. And this is not just about life experiences. There's actual neuroscience and psychology on why we get more confident as we age. Being confident is not loud, it's not performative, it's not needing validation and approval from others. Because as you get older, you start to understand yourself more. You stop trying to be everything for everyone else, and you start to become more of who you actually are. So today I want to talk about the science, the psychology, the ideas behind why we get more confident as we get older. And I'll even give you a couple practical habits that will instantly make you feel better, more grounded, and more confident. Because as I've said before, the one thing that you can do for yourself to become so magnetic and so confident is learning yourself, learning your brain, and really digging deep to align to your best self. Let's talk about the science behind confidence. Confidence is not something that you just get, right? It's not something that like, here you go, here's confidence. Your brain has to learn it. And this is going to be shaped by your environment growing up, how you were spoken to as a child, the relationships and the things that you've seen with people that you felt were important in your life. You know, your parents, your teachers, any caregivers, family, friends, anything. You're going to see how someone was treated, how you were treated, the beliefs about money, their beliefs about self-esteem. All these things will shape you. It's going to show up and you're going to see it in the way you value yourself. And that's going to show up in your confidence and your self-esteem. Because when your nervous system feels safe, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that is in charge of decision making and clarity and emotional regulation, that will start to perform at a higher level. So this means that you've seen healthy relationships around you. You've seen your parents, they spoke to you with love and care and gave you so much that you needed as a child growing up, right? Built your confidence up, got you into things and gave you praise, right? You felt safe. Now, on the other hand, if your nervous system does not feel safe and you're constantly in stress mode, your amygdala will take over, which is the fear center. And when you're operating from fear, you're going to be more likely to be overthinking everything, doubting yourself, seeking validation, and shrinking yourself. When I was younger, I knew these traits so well because all I wanted to do was seek other people's validation. And I wanted to make my mom proud, and I wanted to be the example and be the one who did things right? So I'd overthink everything. And when things didn't go exactly as planned, I would shrink myself. So I understand how it is to come from a fear and live through your fear. So once you can regulate your nervous system and start to operate from a place of safety, that's why I always am speaking about ways to regulate your nervous system, because it's so important to show yourself you're okay, you're safe. Even if you're in a situation where maybe you don't feel the most safe, you know how to regulate yourself to get you into the position of feeling safe, so that way you can make a better decision on the scenario, on the situation that you're in, and not allowing yourself to shrink, because you should be able to be seen. And confidence isn't about being better than anyone else. It's about being who you are, exactly who you are, and being able to be seen. It's about your body feeling safe enough to be able to be seen. In psychology, they call this self-efficacy. Confidence will grow when you repeatedly prove to yourself, I could do this. And I'm always going to be an advocate for small, tiny shifts that you can do, because I know from my own personal experience, I know that doing these tiny shifts like this, it's going to get this momentum going, and it's going to be this big snowball, and then it's going to go into something even bigger. So you start small, and then it works itself up, and it's this big, nice, beautiful change to the person that you're trying to align to. Tiny wins build neural pathways because your brain is going to rewire through repetition and experience. So here are a couple practical confidence habits that you can implement daily, however many times you need to, okay? As I said before, we got to think here that these small shifts, they're going to make such big improvements. Here are a couple things that you can do to immediately change yourself to feel more grounded, to feel more confident, and to feel more secure in your body. Number one, walk a little slower. You don't want to be just zooming around back and forth. I never have seen somebody who is, that I would consider confident, magnetic, someone who's got their shit together, walking crazy fast down the street or across the room. It's just, it doesn't work like that. Take some time to get to where you need to go. The place will be there. Slow down a little bit. Even if it's a tiny bit, then work on maybe a little less and a little less. Number two, pause before responding. This is a big one because this is going to do a couple things for you. Number one, when you take a moment to pause before you respond, you appear to be more confident, and it allows the other person to wait for what you have to say. It also allows you to take a moment to really think about the question and answer it appropriately. The last thing that it does is it gives you an idea. If you're going to take a moment to pause before you answer the question, you're probably going to have a little bit more intention behind listening to the person who's speaking. Now, we should always be listening when someone is talking. Instead of listening to reply, we literally listen to what they're saying. Because if you're listening to somebody and you're thinking in your head about what you're going to say back to them, you're not really listening to what they're saying. So if they then ask you the question, you're like, oh, shit, I don't even know. Then, you want to take that moment and really listen to what they're saying. Number three, don't over-explain. A lot of times when someone over-explains something, it seems as if they're trying to convince themselves of what they're trying to explain to you. So that could be taken as someone who is not being very trustworthy, not being authentic, which is not a good sign. You don't want something like that. So don't over-explain yourself. Just give a straight answer. And to be honest, no one needs to have that much information. I know it's hard because it kind of feels sometimes like maybe they need a little bit more information. Maybe they were silent for a moment. Maybe you feel like you didn't get the point across. But the thing is, give them the information straight to the point. And if they decide they need more, then they can ask you. Take that pause before you reply. Number four, relax your shoulders. And I've spoken about this in other videos where a lot of times when we're really, really stressed out, our shoulders tend to rise up. Maybe not it's that aggressive, but you can tell when someone's feeling a little stressed out. Just allow your shoulders to go from way up here. Just let them soften. Just let them soften. This is going to tell your nervous system we are okay, we can relax. And number five, take deeper breaths when you speak. When you take a deep breath in between speaking or before replying, when you walk into a room, when you know you're going to be the center of attention, it allows your body, your nervous system to see where you're getting that extra oxygen and you're allowing yourself to relax. It really does ground you and center you so that way you can proceed accordingly. All of these signals by relaxing your shoulder, taking deep breaths, allowing yourself that moment of pause before you reply, this is signaling to your body and your nervous system that you are safe. It's signaling to yourself that you are grounded. And calm is confident. You don't have to walk into a room and be the loudest person. You don't have to do anything like that. Confidence comes with this magnetism, this energy that you can tell. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to prove anything. But a big deal for yourself in order to get into this momentum of feeling grounded and safe is to do these daily habits when needed, because they really do center you and tell you, we're good, I got this, we're safe. Take a deep breath, let it go. Let's talk about taking your power back. A huge part of this confidence journey, especially for me, was realizing that my power was never gone. I gave away pieces of it. I gave away pieces of it like they were just candy on Halloween. I'm just like, here you go. Here's some of my power. Here's some of my power. Here's some of my power. Relationships that I was in, my family, my parents, bills, social media, all of these things I gave my power to. Other people's opinions, how to become the best parent, all of these things I was giving my power. But at some point, you recognize that no one will give you your power back. They want it. Everybody wants your power and your energy because it makes them feel good, especially if you're giving it away just to give it. So why wouldn't they take it, right? So it's up to you to recognize this and to say, I'm calling my power back to me. Once you make that decision to call your power back to yourself, which you can do this by meditations, by EFT tapping, emotional freedom technique. You could do this with hypnosis. You could do this with just visualization. Imagine, say, for example, you have an ex-boyfriend or an ex-girlfriend who you feel you gave so much of your energy to. Visualize this person and visualize your energy going out of them and coming right into you. Now, obviously, don't visualize anything bad happening to them because that's not how it works. They are just letting go, releasing your energy, and you're calling it back to you. And to understand this and to recognize this shift, which first you have to understand it and you have to recognize it, right? When you're allowing your power to just be out there and you're giving your power away, it's going to look a lot like wanting the validation, wanting the likes on social media and having so much desire for it to it just matters so much, right? Once you make that decision to take your power back, then you're going to feel so amazing. You're going to notice this. Notice the shifts. Notice the differences. It's going to look like having boundaries and saying no without any remorse or any desire to over-explain yourself. It's going to look like setting boundaries without guilt. It's going to look like trusting your own intuition and not needing anybody else's approval or information on decisions that you're supposed to make. In psychology, this is called the internal locus of control. And this means that people with the internal locus of control, they believe that their life is controlled and created by their own personal decisions, their own mindset, not from anybody else's decisions or input or anything like that. And this mindset creates massive confidence because you stop living in this reaction mode and you start living intentionally. So now let's talk about learning what works for you. One of the most confident things that you could do is think for yourself. This is something that my mom would say before. She said, when you reach your 30s, it's like this veil has been lifted off of your eyes and you see through a different lens, a more clear, secure lens. And it allows you to think for yourself and it allows you to see that other people's opinions are not really needed or necessary. And honestly, it's exactly what happened. Now that I'm 36, going on 37 this year, it's become better and better. I care a lot less about what people have to say, not needing the validation, realizing that what I need to really know, realizing that my decisions are mine and I need to figure out what works for me. There are so many people in the world telling you how to live, how to heal, how to eat, how to drink, how to live your life, what things to wear, what things to do. There's so much great information out there, but it's a lot of information. Learning from others is super valuable. Learning from experts is so incredibly important and valuable. But confidence is when you can learn all these things and hear all of these things and realize that you're the final decision maker. So take in the information, study the psychology, the neuroscience, listen to the podcasts. But at some point, check in with yourself and ask yourself, does this resonate with me? Does this make sense to my life? What works for me? What feels aligned to me? How does my nervous system feel right now? Confidence is going to grow and grow, but it's going to grow from your own discernment. You're allowed to gather as much information and wisdom from the world as you need. No one can tell you otherwise, but you're the final decision maker. You're the one who decides. You're the one who decides your path. Now, let's add a little audacity to this, right? I wrote my whole book is called Full of Yourself, a guide to becoming your most audacious self. And in there, it's what I wanted it to be so audacious and full of audacity is because the audacity that person had to XYZ, right? That's what you hear a lot with audacity. Audacity is, I can't believe that person did that. And I love that. I can't, you'll have someone who maybe is a people pleaser. This was me, a people pleaser, always did things that others wanted me to do, gave all my energy away, gave all of my power away. So when I finally decided to make those shifts and make those changes and call my power back and stop saying yes when I didn't want to and put those boundaries in, I was the most audacious one because they couldn't believe I did it. So let's add a little audacity into this. At some point, you're going to have to add a little bit of audacity to your confidence journey. You're going to have to be willing to try things before you feel ready and to show up before you feel 100% comfortable with the situation. Your brain learns through exposure. Every time you do something uncomfortable and you survive it, your brain rewires. And your nervous system realizes yes, we could do this. And over time, this discomfort is going to become normal because confidence is not doing something and having no fear. Confidence is realizing that fear is there and still pushing through it. I think that aging is one of the most incredible gifts that we can have. And it helps our confidence so much. Once you get to a point in your life where you start realizing, like I did, you don't need to give as much to people. You don't need to over explain yourself. You don't need to shrink yourself. You're allowed to take up space. You don't need approval from anybody. You don't need to audition for anything in that sense. You start to select the life that you actually want. Research in developmental psychology shows that emotional regulation improves with age. You become calmer, more self-aware, more grounded. And that is incredibly attractive. Confidence doesn't fade with age. It gets better. It gets more refined. Something else I wanted to speak about is feminine energy. Feminine energy and confidence. I feel like feminine energy is a little misunderstood sometimes. I've noticed that some people might feel it's passive, it's submissive, it's passive, it's quiet. But true feminine energy is powerful. It's presence, it's emotional intelligence, it's intuition, it's receptivity. When you're connected to your body and your nervous system is regulated, you move through the world with softness and boundaries at the same time. You become magnetic, but not because you're trying to control everything. You become magnetic because you're so grounded in who you are. So, yes, at 36 years old, I feel better than I ever have, more confident than I ever have in my entire life. And I'm so excited for more experiences to come and for that to grow. And this isn't because I've got everything figured out. Definitely, I do not. It's because I trust myself more. Confidence really is a regulated nervous system, self-trust, a strong sense of identity, and a little audacity always. Not only are we aging, but we're just getting so much better. We're evolving, and that is the best thing here. So thank you so much for watching my video, and I hope that you loved it as much as I loved it. I love this topic, and I love the idea of getting older and getting more confident and changing these ideas that maybe getting older is bad and aging is bad or it's not the greatest, because I think it's such a privilege and it's so beautiful. Don't forget to get your copy of my book. It's called Full of Yourself, a guide to becoming your most audacious self, and it's available on Amazon, but I will link it in the description box below. I will put my Instagram right here on the screen if you have any questions or you wanted to inquire about hypnosis or just have a conversation. You can DM me there. And again, thank you so much for watching this video, and until next time, love yourself boldly and live audaciously.